Welcome back to Mish Reads. We're going to be doing my journal setup for this week. This is my weekly routine. I do this either on a Sunday afternoon or a Monday morning, just depending on when I get around to it. But yeah, let's get going. This is a look at last week in my Hobonichi weeks. Um, Honestly, this is my favorite journal. I have so much fun in here and it just brings me so much joy. So yeah, I just like to look at the week before and decide what I want to do for the upcoming week. I keep this pretty simple. Over here, I'm just dividing out a third for marking off the days that I work out. Those are those hearts that you saw. So I'll just be drawing a line with my favorite marker. This is the Unipen 0.3 marker tip. This is just my go-to for any time I'm writing on Hobonichi paper and I don't want to use a fountain pen. I just feel like it looks the best and there's no skipping or jumping or anything like that that you might get with some rollerball pens or gel pens. And yeah, just really like it. Then I'm going to be picking out some washi tape and cutting off my first book sticker here that's going to go on top. I'm in love with these things. They're so cute. They're pretty integral to this whole process that I do here in my reading journals. And now I'm evaluating very harsh decisions here, trying to decide what kind of washi tape I want to use. I get a lot of my washi tape from jet pens. Occasionally I shop on Etsy, but then I get overwhelmed shopping from lots of different shops, and so I usually just end up going back to jet pens because I like having everything all in one place. But that's where this one's from. Again, I like to keep this really simple. I don't like to go too crazy. I just want this to be easy and something that doesn't take a lot of thought to set up and maintain. I want this to be something I can stick to. Anything more complicated and it becomes a barrier in my brain and then I just won't do it. It's the ADHD brain in me. We have these grand aspirations and then sometimes those aspirations become too much pressure, even though it's self-created pressure. It's funny. If you know, you know. It's a weird situation to live with, but it's the only brain I got. So here we are. What can you do? Now I'm debating what kind of marker I'm going to be using when I check off my workouts. Very, very important decisions. Yeah. So now we're going to go and start updating the rest of the journal. I've been having trouble keeping up with my book cover section. So I think today I'm like 8 behind. But here's my goal tracker. She's so cute. Taking a little look-see. Now we're going to flip through our book covers. They're just so satisfying seeing them all lined up. So I'm looking at where I left off, and then I'm comparing it to my running list I have in the back. I'm using this running list to track some of my sub goals with those highlighter boxes and the check boxes, but I also refer to this to make sure that when I add in my book covers, everything is in the correct order. So I really like having that there. But as always, I'm going to be using my HP Sprocket for printing. Now, if you're going to go buy one of these little printers new, I do not necessarily recommend the HP Sprocket. You'll see as we get into it that the colors are just really not there. The vibrancy and the tone is just totally off in a lot of these. But I got my HP Sprocket on eBay for like $25. So that's why I love my HP Sprocket because it came in like new condition and has not given me any issues other than sometimes being slow connecting, and that I can live with. That's not a big deal. But yeah, you'll see in this next set of 4, particularly the green, you can see how vibrant In a Rush by Kate Canterbury is supposed to be because it's AstroTurf. Oh, the little plug here for the Edam lip treatment. It's so nice and nourishing, and I have it in this really pretty rosy pink color, and it's just my favorite. I have it in my journaling supplies right now, so I put it on as I was waiting for my printer to print. You'll also see in the corner I'm watching someone else talk about journaling because it's just all that I think about these days. And as we're waiting for my printer connect, I'm also showing you my tape, my corrective tapes. So this is the Tombow Mono Air, and then this is the just some cream colored tape that I found on Amazon. The cream colored tape matches the Hobonichi Weeks, and then the white matches the Hobonichi Cousin and the rest of their line, because the Weeks is the only one that uses that white. Oh, throwing my phone. Yep. Okay, so here we're seeing that green is just absolutely terrible. So that AstroTurf is not at all the right color. But so, like I said, don't go spend full price on the HP Sprocket. Just don't do it. But if you find one used, if you find any of the little guys used, just that, I think that's where it's worth it to try, because then you get to see if you even like using it for things like this, if it's something you want to mess with. But yeah, so here I am just laying out all my book covers, getting them all in a row, double checking my order. Again, like I said, this is where I reference that. All right, so the first book I'm adding here is Orbital by Samantha Harvey. This is a very quiet, sort of reflective sci-fi novel, throwing the cover, about astronauts at the space station. And it was a little bit not enough space like science-y for me. It was a lot more reflective on humanity and quiet, but if you've ever dreamed of being an astronaut, I think this really is a love letter to both being an astronaut and to Earth. So it was good. I really liked it. Then I read No Place Left to Hide by Megan Lally. I liked her first book better. That's Not My Name. But this one was still really, really good, really fast paced. It's YA fantasy, so the kids are in high school. So if that's a deal breaker, then there you go. But I like the way she writes teenagers. I feel like it's very realistic. I just had troubles with some of the plot devices and how things sort of all wrapped up. I wanted just a little bit more at the end, but that was just me. Then I finally got my shit together and finished Bloodmarked. And I will say, for me, this had a little bit of the sequel, the second book syndrome, just in the sense that a lot of this felt like it was setting up stuff for the rest of the series, but it was still really good. I still really love Tracy Deon's writing, and I love this world. This one just didn't knock my socks off in quite the same way that Legendborn did. Then I read, as part of the Trans Rights Readathon, I still had a couple library books out, so I read Everyone on the Moon is Essential Personnel. This is a short story collection. Some of these short stories were absolute like 5, 6 star reads. They made me laugh, made me cry, just beautiful and wonderful writing. But as with all short story collections, some are going to be hits and some are going to be misses. And so for me, overall, it's closer to a 4 star read. But it's also short, so definitely just pick it up. Next, we are adding the one that I'm messing with is A Night to Surrender. This is the first book I read for my Grandma's Bookshelf series. I had been recommended A Week to Be Wicked, and so I have that one by Tessa Dare, but I went ahead and picked up the first one in the series, and it was cute. It was very insta-lovey, so for me that was kind of a drawback, and then I didn't love the main guy all that much, so pretty much just middle of the road romance for me. Then I read, for Arab Heritage Month, I read If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English. I would love to discuss this with people, so if you've read it, let me know what you think. I want to mull over my thoughts on it because I couldn't figure out where I landed on my rating scale or my feelings on it, but it was beautifully written. Then I read Lies He Told Me for the Brady and Rosie book talk, and I thought it was kind of terrible, to be honest. A lot of it didn't make sense. Didn't like the characters. I didn't think they made decisions that made any sense at all. There was this scary assassin that was supposed to be super like formidable, and nothing he did made sense. So it just kind of made me angry, to be honest. Then I read In a Rush by Kate Canterbury. I love her rom-coms. They're so sweet and sexy. The only drawback is I think this was 477 pages long. I don't know if a rom-com needs to be that long, but because it was Kate Canterbury, it didn't quite click for me that it was that long until I started getting towards the end, because I do really like her writing. She's really funny, and I love the representation she puts in her books. So I'll definitely keep reading from her, but just be warned that some of her newer releases especially are quite long. So there I am, just filling in my reading goal tracker, and I'm pointing out that I added a new goal. I want to try and read one nonfiction book a year from here on out. A month from here on out, just as a way to keep diversifying my reading. So now we're going to update my content planning weeks. This is still something I'm trialing and erroring out, figuring out how I want to use it. But To start, I'm just going to do a bank of video ideas across the top, things I know that I want to film, and then a little check off list for if I filmed it, edited it, and then posted it. And then I'll have a section for ideas that I want to dump. And then I'm going to write down the YouTube videos I want to do for the week. And sort of as I go, I'll make notes on the left-hand side on those dated sections when I actually made and posted those videos in particular. I don't really care when I film stuff, but I want to be noting on the left-hand side when I'm posting things. So yeah, I like this. I was feeling very cluttered having this in with my personal info in my Hobonichi cousin, and so separating it out like this really just made me feel a lot more in control and a lot more organized. Okay, side note, fountain pen users. I have been having this problem with the Lamy Safari pens. No matter what ink I put in them, they seem to clog. This guy hasn't given me as much trouble ever since I switched back to the Lamy black ink. I took out my converter, cleaned it, I had the Diatramentis Archive ink black in there and it kept clogging. So this one's been doing fine with the Lamy black, but then that dark green one, I just cleaned it and put the Lamy cartridge back in, hoping that it would start working again, the same as this turquoise one, and it's still clogged. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong there, but kind of annoying because I really love this extra fine nib for note taking, particularly in the Hobonichi weeks where you want to be writing smaller because you have a little bit less real estate. But it is what it is. This guy is working for me, and honestly, yeah, I really like this guy. If you're in the mood for, or if you're in the market for a good sort of starter fountain pen, the Lamy Safaris are great. They're really nice and compact and lightweight. They're easy to travel with. And so far, aside from the clogging issues I've had when trying different inks in it, I've had zero problems. So, straight out the box with their own ink, I've had no problems. But that's still something I'm sort of trialing and trying to figure out. But I'm carrying forward kind of the way that you would in sort of a bullet journal esque situation. I'm carrying forward any video ideas I had last week that I didn't get to. And if I want to try and make it this week, I'm going to put it in that green section. And then if I want it to just live on as an idea, I'm going to put it in that blue section. And we're just going to keep trying that and see how that goes. I think I'm just going to be quiet now for a second and let you guys watch this, and I might just play some music. So enjoy. Okay, was that creepy? Sorry. Here's my Hobonichi cousin. That was last week. Now we're going into our new week. And sometimes I overthink this in how I want the colors and the schemes to be, but this week I decided I just wanted it to match my weeks, and I'm just going to use that same tape. So, keeping it simple. Why does washi tape never go down straight? Is that a universal experience? I hope so. Maybe it's just me. Also, I've been marking my page in my Hobonichi cousin with just this little sticky tab because right when I first got it, I used one of those sort of clip page markers and it left huge indents in the paper and I hated it. And so I've just been using this. But this one, sticky tab, has been going strong since January with me peeling it and unsticking it and sticking it on each week. So like props to that. Like he's just hanging in there. Go on, little guy. You're crushing it. Here I am, I think I'm debating the pros and cons of having a daily habit tracker. And I ultimately decide that I'm not looking to track a lot of individual habits anymore because I just don't fill out the tracker and then I feel guilty about it. And isn't that just a stupid thing to feel guilty about? Some made up system that I created myself and then I'm feeling bad about? Like, I have enough things in my life to feel worried about than this made up little tracker in my own journal that only I look at. And I mean, I guess you guys, but only I look at. And I'm getting myself all twisted up in knots, being like, oh, you're so terrible. You didn't check off your habits for today. Like, you suck. So I put my meds tracker. I have ADHD, if you couldn't tell by my whole sort of vibe. But I have to take it twice a day. It's a morning and afternoon sitch. So I've actually been really enjoying this. I make a little bubble for each day or two bubbles for each day, and then I just fill that in each time I take my meds. And I really like that. So I do like that tracking. That works for me, keeping that. And then I've also really liked putting my meals and things I want to cook on the left. Instead of trying to plan them out on the specific day that I feel like I should cook them, I've just put them all on the left. And then when I do eventually cook them, I will put them on the day that I did it, if that makes sense. But it's just a lot less pressure for my brain in that way because sometimes the day just totally gets away from me and I don't get to it. And other times I do, but I just like having this as sort of a working log to work from. And it also serves as a reminder for this is the thing, like these are the things that I bought groceries for. So it's a nice little reminder to have there on the left. But yeah. Just making some notes for the days, things I have going on this week. I'm going to be field tripping. I'm going to be chaperoning for my kindergartner's field trip on Tuesday. So that'll be fun. I can't wait to have a bunch of 6-year-old boys under my care. It'll be awesome. They're so silly and awesome. How many times did I just say awesome? So at the bottom here, I've been liking tracking our dinners and my workouts, but in the name of trying to simplify our lives, we have been defaulting to Brinner or just scrambled eggs and some sort of like veg for dinner. So I don't just want to write that every single day. But one thing I do really struggle with is eating lunch. I just get so caught up with the day that I will just snack, or even worse, I just won't eat. And then my coffee and my meds and the day will just hit me straight in the face, and then I'll feel terrible. So I changed that up this week, and I'm going to be tracking my lunches for the week, and hopefully that will motivate me to actually eat. I don't know. We'll see. This is an ongoing struggle with me. I can eat in the morning, I can eat in the evening. Eating in the middle of the day is really, really hard because it feels like such an inconvenience. So, we're going to be tracking my lunches this week and we're going to see how that goes. I don't know if the mic is picking up on this. It probably isn't, but I can hear my husband and my children wrestling in the background, and my oldest is shrieking. It's adorable. All right, guys, that's it for this. I'm still not 100% satisfied with the way I've been using these weeks, but I am getting better. I am slowly dialing it in. At the beginning here, I've stopped tracking habits because I completely just didn't do it in the first 3 months. But now for April, I'm testing out what time I got up and then tracking my impulse spending. So, one of my overarching goals is to become a better morning person. I normally wouldn't care. I have no moral feelings about what time a person wakes up in the morning. But because life is so crazy with work and kids and everything, I just want to try and take advantage of that, whether that be for journaling, reading my own time, or just like not feeling rushed. So that's why I have a goal of getting up earlier. Um, but here, uh, in my Hobonichi Weeks, my reading journal, I've started tracking using or reading in my Kindle. I hadn't figured out a use for that before, but I'm going to use that for Kindle reading because I like the challenges and I like the fact that you can get streaks and stuff on there. So that's what I'm doing in there. And then over here in the cousin, I use the 100s for working out. So finally dialed in what I want to use that for. But this is easier because my Kindle tracks it for me. And I always track my workouts because my husband and I have a competition going on of who can work out the most each month. So I don't have to do any sort of like looking back in my memories and like feeling like I'm potentially making up data. I have my Kindle data and then I have my workout calendar. So that's why this doesn't feel like too much of a chore for me to keep up with. But yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out. These are my journals. I hope you all have a great week, and I would love to chat with you guys in the comments. Bye!